Offerton House Hospital in Stockport, home to John Sylvester for the last 18 years of his institutional life. Today, Offerton House is saying goodbye to another generation of patients.
Oh, that's lovely, thank you.
Get through them tonight.
A will to return people to the community started in the late 70s and becomes enshrined in law this April.
And everything's lovely for you. I'm
Thank
sure
you.
you're going to like it.
Yeah.
You've got a beautiful house, haven't you?
Yeah. Thank you very much for everything you've done for me. I don't know what I'd have done without you all these years. Thanks very much, everybody.
Local authorities will be obliged to make an individual care plan for all their patients.
What are you going to do tonight?
I don't know. Tennis advice for John.
The trickle of people who've been leaving hospital during the last decade is now a flood.
And this one.
It's a revolution against institutional care.
For people to be returning to the community after a period of time in hospital, no matter how long, is traumatic. Institutions create security for the people who work there and the people who live there, and therefore any move on from that is to see them encountering something strange, something new, and something at least challenging or frightening.
The new rules mean that everyone has the right to a say in their own future. Freedom is government policy.
Are you sitting on it?
No, you can sit on it.
I bet they're all packed nice and neat next door, Hazel.
You sit on it, baby.
But will community care work for everyone? Two weeks ago, this woman had to return to Offerton. Community care is working for John Sylvester, but he had to wait 66 years to leave the system.
John's lost all the things that we hold dear. He has never had, until quite recently, a home of his own in which he could feel secure and confident and have control over his own destiny. He's never had a job, and if you don't have a job, you don't have status and standing in our society. He's never had the simple choices as to when he gets up, when he goes to bed, when he eats, what he eats, where he goes for his holidays. And he's only had those very latterly since he moved into his own house. So all the things that we hold dear, he's been deprived of.
Right. I don't want no burglaries in.
If we want to cry or read a letter or just find 5 minutes on our own, it's perfectly easy for us to do that. If you live in an institution, it isn't. And one of John's greatest delights now is just to sit in the enjoyment of his own home.
John's independence didn't come easily. Review panels stood between him and freedom.
John has told me many times when he and another man vowed that the next time they went before the panel, they would ask for their freedom. But of course, he said when he went in there and he saw that all the panel were writing, he lost his nerve. And it seemed strange to us that being in the presence of 3 people who could write would make you lose your nerve. But that's exactly what it did to John, and therefore he dare not ask for his freedom.
Ask me my name, money, spell of it, how long I've been there, What you fond of? I said, football and cricket. Very good. See you again in 5 years' time. Ta-ra, good afternoon, good afternoon. Didn't see him for 5 years. The last time I see him in 1955 at Granny's. He said, what colour's grass? I said, green.
John Sylvester, of course, was one of thousands of people who, by various accidents of history, managed to find themselves living in long-stay hospitals. And even today, when many, many people have moved, there are still lots and lots of people who are living in hospital for no medical reason.
New Hall hostels in Liverpool, once the old cottage homes where Ethel and Francis both started and ended their institutional careers. Tests had been a feature of their lives from childhood.
They gave me a book and they said, read that. I said, all right, I'll read it for you. I'll show you if I can read. And I can write. They got me a book out and they said, spell your name. And I did.
Once they gave me a puzzle to do and there was only half, took half of it out. So I said to him, well, I'll do it if you give me the other half.
Our friends we go and visit, they said that you should never ever been put away. Well, when we got to know we were leaving the hospital, the staff thought we wouldn't be able to make it.
Yeah, wouldn't be able
We'd been
to
there
cope,
like
yeah.
for all those years.
Yeah.
And we certainly made it.
Well, Mr. Robinson said to me, the superintendent of the hostels, I wouldn't do a month.
He said you wouldn't last a month?
No, he said I wouldn't last a month out.
What did you say to him?
I said to him, well, I'll show you.
Oh, it's fantastic now, it really is.
Like heaven.
It is. Your life completely changed. It's a great, it's normal to be, instead of being as it was in those days. Get treated like a baby.
Baby and everything.
It was disgrace. It's nice to have different clothes for each day.
Yeah, and we haven't been used to having them when we was away.
Oh, we used to wear the hospital clothes, and dresses were long. We didn't like that. We liked them short when we were young, to show our legs, but that wasn't right. We couldn't do things like that.
It'd be nice that, won't it? Get about now, because we couldn't face now, could we?
Every Monday we'd go down for dancing, and there was boys.
When the band used to start playing, used to get up and start dancing. But we had more than 3 dances with the same fella. You've had it. We like music. She's sitting up in bed at night time with her earphones on.
All hours in the morning.
And I'm giving her a sing-song.
I'm set. Yes, number 9.
Deep down, I always had the gut feeling somebody would come along. It took 50 years, but I knew somebody would come along and I would be out. And when one thinks of it, all the psychiatrists I went through, and there was a young 34-year-old girl psychiatrist come in and got me out in 6 months.
Jimmy Lang has been rebuilding his life since he reclaimed his freedom. Today in Glasgow, he offers support to other former psychiatric patients.
I was in Gatlock here about 40 years ago. I was only in for 6 weeks. I had a nervous breakdown. And it hasn't changed a great deal, Gatlock. But still, I left sitting down in the ward all day, most of the time all day, sitting down all day. Always waiting for my meal and going to bed at night. That's just looking for me in my bed.
And that's still today?
That was 4 or 5 years ago.
Well, that's the same as it was 20, 30, 40 years ago, Joe. Still the same if you're sitting waiting. Well, we used to wait in a bell in those days. Our lives were run with a bell at 8 in the morning, midday, and 5 o'clock at night. But
well, I lost my freedom, which is very, very precious, and I know that today. And I appreciate every day I live now. I live each day to the full. And just living, being outside itself is wonderful. For me, it's wonderful. I have met a lot of lovely people who have accepted me for me, not my past.